All right, everybody, what is going on? Welcome to the Friday night debut edition of Triple Threat Wrestling Radio Live right here on Ustream.tv. It is Friday, May 31st, 2013. Hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. I'm your host, Kenny C. That's right, same show, new day, same time. That's pretty much all y'all need to know. And since this is our Friday night show, our Friday night debut, we're going to be live for the next 2 hours up until midnight here on the East Coast. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some wrestling talk. And I am joined with my first guest at this time. He has wrestled for UWF in Georgetown. He's got a match coming up tomorrow night, WCCW at Lawrenceburg. Um, He also has wrestled for PTW as well. I am joined with Fozo Fury and everyone else. It's a circus atmosphere here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. What's going on, Fozo?
He, we are fine. He, thank you for having us.
Well, thank you and your company for joining me this evening. We got a lot to get into, including your match tomorrow night. And you know what? Let's start off with that. You got I believe, is a dark color match. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about your opponent and what do you have store for him tomorrow night at WCCW?
We run by one simple rule. Those who make the children cry, Fozo Fury makes you die. And the butcher lives to terrorize the children of WCCW. So we have came in thanks to Scott Diamond to put an end to him once and for all. We showed everyone he has a weakness. He's scared of the taser. So tomorrow night, we are going to hang the butcher out to dry over the top rope and watch him take his last breath. So everyone, make sure you come on over to WCCW in Lawrenceburg and pay your final respects to the Bluegrass Butcher. He, ooh,
That
yeah,
is
yeah,
the dog collar match. I mean, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be intense. Mr. Fury, sir, you've been in type of matches throughout your career. How would you rank this type of match compared to the other hardcore or stipulation type matches that you've been a part of?
it's going to be a monstrous battle. I guarantee you that. I don't know if you were there and got to see the Funhouse match between me and J.R. Rock, but I can guarantee you this much. Tomorrow night, I will lay him to rest. Tomorrow night, you will see extreme. Tomorrow night, I will push him to his limits.
So, talk,
He,
so tell me, Mr. Fury, sir. Other than the match you have planned for tomorrow night, you are a regular of UWF in Georgetown, Kentucky. And the last time I saw you was a few weeks ago. You was part of the Commonwealth title tournament. You had a match against Triple R. And let me just say, Mr. Fury, sir, that had to be one of my favorite UWF matches of the year. It was a remarkable contest. And how did it feel to have the match with Triple R? And how do you feel about the state of UWF as of right now, sir?
well, we thank you for the compliment on the match. Triple R is definitely a great talent to this state. He has came a long way in a short period of time, that's for sure. The UWF is coming to a whole new level. There's new people showing up, old names that hasn't been there for a while. They have Tracy Smothers coming on June 9th. Donnie Green is there on a regular again. Legendary Larry D is their heavyweight champ. I have to say that the UWF is making giant strides in raising the bar of wrestling in Georgetown, Kentucky. And you see it every week. The crowd numbers keep drawing up higher and higher. But one thing they all need to realize is the clown is sitting back in the corner watching it all unfold. And when it's time, we will come and claim Larry D's championship belt when it's time. He,
That's what I
yeah,
like to hear. That's what I like to hear. I mean, you give all the praise to you fellow compadres and all, but obviously to be the best, you gotta go for that championship. You gotta go for what Larry D has, and I would say Larry D has elevated this company, UWF, especially since he's been there, and he's a champion for a reason. But how would you feel the match would turn out if you ever had a chance to compete against Larry D?
me and Larry D have locked it up several times. We've done a taser on a pole match in WCCW. He did not fare too well there. But give him credit where credit is due. He has also put it into us a few times too. But what they cannot gather inside of their mind, we cannot be stopped. We will keep coming back. They might beat us, but they cannot kill us. We are eternal. We are powered by fury. We are motivated by the laughter of the children. All we worry about is taking anyone, and I mean anyone, that make the children cry, upset, love to watch them fear, crawl in fear. We are going to be there to take them out, no matter what. If it is our own career we put on the line, we will do it. It does not matter to us. Our circus goes from town to town, looking to make the children smile at all cost.
Speaking of the children, you have been a fan favorite for quite some time now. Not only that, but when you make your entrance to the ring, you give fans, especially the children, the balloons, and people want to say Frozen Fury. He's crazy. He's intense. He tased people, whatever it takes. I mean, but how do you feel? You know, what's that feeling inside when you see the children smile, when you give them the balloons, and they are just happy that you make your presence into the ring and compete.
Well, the way we look at it, no one cared who we were till we put on the mask. But once we put on that mask and the children started smiling, it warms our heart. Oh, yes, there is dark in our heart, too. Believe that. But we are there for one purpose only, to serve the children in any way, whether it be animal balloons, anything it takes, beating guys like Big Dog Cujo, beating guys like Black Rain and Sean Bain that love to watch the children hide behind their mothers and fathers because they're so scared of these people. That's our purpose. That's what makes us go. That's what keeps us lacing our boots up. We were ready to go to the house for good and let the circus die. But once we started getting messages from the children asking where we were at, when we were coming back, that was our motivation to return to the ring. It's what every single wrestler should remember. It is about the children. It's about the next generation. The only way to become immortal is to never be forgotten. We have done that. We are immortal. These children will grow to be adults and they will say, "Do you remember Bozo Fury?" I have left my mark.
Yes, you have, man. You definitely have left your mark. Whether it's WCCW, whether it's UWF, whether it's PTW, I've had the chance to see you in all three companies, and I gotta say, you're definitely underrated in my opinion as a competitor. I mean, maybe because people want to underestimate you because you're a clown and all. Maybe they look at you sideways or whatever. But when that bell rings, it's a whole different story. Do you think, Fozo, that you have been underestimated by your opponents sometimes?
We are underestimated every time we come out of that curtain. They look and laugh. They think the polka dots are funny. Yes, they're there to make the children smile, but what they need to realize is the black bag that hangs on our right arm is there to be straight electrifying. When it comes time for the laughter to stop, it's us that stops it by taking that stun gun, ramming it into their chest and pumping them full of electricity, watching them run just like the butcher did last week. He ran. We showed everyone he is human. He is a man that has fear. That is the purpose of the taser. It's to show all the children that no matter how bad they act, they all have fear. You just have to find it. Yes, we are always underestimated. We don't worry about belts. That's the difference between us and everyone else. All we're worried about is the smiles on the children. We're there to protect the children. They can keep their belts. All we need is that laughter, that love that they show us when we come out. That makes it all worthwhile to us. That's why no matter where we go, be it the fifth, sixth, or the first time we've come out that curtain, the children cheer. That crowd is as loud as they can be when we came out. For that simple fact, because they know we are there to set everything straight and right for once and for all.
So when it comes to Fozo Fury, you brought it up, the taser. You know, I've seen your matches. You have tased your opponents time again. Um, when it comes to the taser, Mr. Fury, sir, who has been the opponent or rival, nemesis that you have enjoyed using the taser on the most? Who has been that one guy that really makes you want to tase the most?
We've watching the electricity go into the Zodiac. He plays with fire, we play with electricity. He is evil. He is everything that a child should fear. He is a real life boogeyman. Why crowds cheer him, we do not know. He is there for nothing but evil intentions, and so is his woman Burgundy. She pumps his ego to where he comes out packing the fire. He loves to shovel people into body bags. He placed us into a body bag and thought it was funny to tase us with our own taser while we were in the body bag. So when we got him about 6 weeks ago in Georgetown, we burned a taser out to lighten him up. I brought one just for him that night, 3 times the size of what we usually carry. And I emptied every single bit of that battery into his body. Every time we can get our hands on the Zodiac, it makes us happy to hear him scream.
That's painful. And thank the good Lord, I've never been hit by a taser, and I have no intention of that happening to me. So, you know, you got my support for it, and just keep that taser away from me if you see me, all right? Just
Well,
keep.
maybe you should try it. It's very refreshing. Sometimes we tase ourselves just to wake up in the mornings.
Interesting. That could be
Yeah.
your alarm right there. My last question is, with all you have done, with all you have accomplished in your career, with the matches, with the tasering, with the mind games and so forth, and the balloons, the give children a lot of smiles and faces. How does Fergal Fury likes to be remembered when his career is all said and done?
That is an awesome question, something we have not even really thought about. We would just like to be remembered from those smiles of those children, that we were there to entertain. We were the person, oh, 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 look, people that would never turn our back on our fans. We talk to our fans every day. If they send us a message, we answer. That's why we're here. That's why everyone that laces up a set of wrestling boots should be the same way. They make us. They can forget us. And when you are forgotten in this business, you never existed, ever. It's like death. If you can't make them remember you, then you did not do your job. Where were you at in wrestling? That is, if Hulk Hogan died tomorrow, the world would remember him forever. That's what you need to keep in the back of your mind. That goes to everyone that's lacing a pair of boots up on a weekly. It's not for yourself. It's for the people in the crowd. You always make them remember. You always give them more the next week than you did the last. You lay your body on the line. If you don't get back up, that's your problem. But make them remember. we will be remembered by the smiles, and that is good enough for us.
Yes, indeed. And Fozel Fury, I want to thank you for joining me here on this Friday night debut of Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Best of success goes out to you. Go out and knock them dead. And big good luck to you in your match tomorrow. WCCW, check him out. You can also check him out at Georgetown, Kentucky, UWF Sundays. I believe that's
And
at.
also in Nicholasville, Kentucky, on June 22nd, the USWF will be there. They do have Fozo Fury, Prime Time Wrestling in Mackville, Kentucky on June 29th. You can also see us there. So come out and support the clown.
Support the clown and support local indie pro wrestling. Thank you, Foza, for your time. Best of success goes out to you, man.
Thank you very much, sir, for having us.
You have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. That was Fozo Fury joining us here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. I told y'all there was a circus atmosphere, but he's a very nice clown. He's a very nice clown. You know, just don't get on his bad side, or he's gonna taser you. I think I handled myself pretty well. But yeah, keep that in mind. Check out Fozo Fury tomorrow night, WCCW. Check him out, PTW. Check him out all over the area. And you can check him out on Facebook, facebook.com/Fozo.Fury. And he usually keeps you posted on his matches and stuff. Now, coming up in about 12 minutes, I'm going to be joined with Wild Wrestling's Tava Tech, the Gamer. Hope I pronounced the name correctly. She's going to join us. She's from Wild Wrestling, and I've heard a lot of great things about her. And it's a lot of fun. Let me pronounce her name correctly. It's Tativik, the Gamer from Wild Wrestling. She's going to call in about 12 minutes or so. Now, also tonight, recapping SmackDown last week and tonight's episode, plus Raw, Main Event, and Impact, and my predictions for the Slammiversary pay-per-view. So, stay tuned for all of that. And you know what? Last Friday on SmackDown, I did not get a chance to watch it on TV because, well, let's just say I was on the road on Memorial Day weekend. I was actually on the road to Ohio with my family, spent time. I did watch it on YouTube on Saturday. So I did wrote some notes down and what went down. So I'm going to quickly give y'all the SmackDown results for last week. Kofi Kingston defeated Dean Ambrose by a disqualification. Shield defeated Orton, Sheamus, and Kofi. Miz versus Barrett for the Intercontinental title. Barrett wins by DQ due to interference of Fandango. Miz TV with Fandango and Barrett. Barrett didn't take too kind of Fandango dancing during the tag team match on Raw days prior. Curtis Axel defeated Sin Cara, and there was that segment between Sandow and Sheamus. Damian Sandow's gone from the Road wearing now he's dressed up in a suit, bring you that wittiness. He's quite a witty type of dude. He's not gonna let up. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you what. This is a lot of fun. Now got that out the way. Gonna recap Monday Night Raw real quick here. Cena comes out. It was a week prior. That Ryback challenge. Cena to a ambulance match. Well, this past Monday, Cena wanted to take it a step further. He said, "You know what? After all that happened, I say let's take it up a notch. Let's have ourselves a 3 stages of hell match. The first stage will be a lumberjack match surrounded by the WWE roster. The second stage will be a table match, self-explanatory. You put your opponent through a table, you win that stage. And if we are evened up after the first 2 stages, Ryback will get his wish, an ambulance match. So after hearing Cena's solution, Ryback accepted it, and it is official. Cena versus Ryback at Payback at 3 stages of hell. Now, to tell you the truth, I don't remember the last 3 stages of hell, but I know it's probably in the mid 2000s. And I think the last 3 stages of hell is a lot more intense than this one. This is kind of like, lumberjack match, tables match, ambulance match. You might as well call it 2 out of 3 falls. When I think 3 stages of hell, I'm thinking maybe a Hell in a Cell, maybe steel cage, maybe no DQ, no holds barred. I would say that will be 3 stages of hell. But I understand you gotta add the ambulance element in this 3 stages of hell. I'm just not sure about the lumberjack and the tables. And yes, fans and audience have chanted, "We want tables." Hell, they chanted tables when it has nothing to do with the storyline or whatnot. But hey, WWE fans, WWE Universe, asking you shall receive. You're gonna get a table match, and I believe we all know what happened. What was it? 2011 TLC match, Cena versus Sheamus. I think we all remember Cena's. I don't know. People say Sheamus fell down. Not Sheamus, but Cena fell down, slipped, or Sheamus kind of pushed him, led to his first WWE title reign. Now, this, speaking of 2 out of 3 falls, comes Del Rio and Biggie Langston. Biggie beat Del Rio on Raw last week. Del Rio even the score on main event last Wednesday, and then came the tiebreaker. Del Rio goes on to win that. Dolph Ziggler. Now, we're about a week and a half away from Payback, and Del Rio, remember, he beat the Swagger at Extreme Rules to become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight title. Is Dolph Ziggler going to be cleared in time for Payback? Luckily, they're not going to have a stipulation. It'll just be a regular title defense. But WWE has not ruled on whether Ziggler is going to compete at Payback or not. Remember, the pay-per-view after Payback, I believe, will be Money in the Bank in July. The same pay-per-view when he won the briefcase, cashed it in just a couple of months ago. So, if Dolph Ziggler is unable to compete at Payback, then he'll definitely be ready for Money in the Bank. And you can't take that concussion lightly. Can't take it lightly. You have to focus. You have to take it one day at a time. He's got to go through all these tests. Now, I'm no athlete, but I do know you go through more than just doctor checkup. You got to go through certain things. And, Dolph Ziggler understands. He's a wrestler. He's a competitor. He's an athlete. You do not want to see a concussed Dolph Ziggler at 75%. You want him post, no, not concussed. You want him being the show off. Can't be the show off, you know, and you recover, from that concussion. You want him at his best. So if if he's not cleared by, say, next week, then who knows what's going to happen with Del Rio. He's going to get his opportunity, but it hasn't been ruled for payback. If there's anything, who knows? Jack Swagger may be in the mix somehow. I mean, you never know. Then you had tag team title match on the line. Rollins and Reigns of the Shield defeated Team Hell No. And I think we all starting to see the beginning of the end for Team Hell No. Their time has ran its course. And now with Daniel Bryan screaming, "I'm not the weaker link," you get the feeling that maybe Payback may be their last pay-per-view as a tag team. After that, they can go their separate ways and maybe both qualify for one of the Money in the Bank ladder matches. And by the way, both Kane and Daniel Bryan are former Money in the Bank winners, and they both have successfully cashed in their briefcases. Only difference is Kane cashing in on the same night that he won the briefcase. He's the only person that's pulled that off. Kofi Kingston, I believe Ambrose won that match. And then you have Barrett, actually Fandango defeated Wade Barrett, Miz with the referee. You may see it maybe a triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. Miz, Fandango, and Barrett. Maybe, perhaps. Let's see. Tons of Funk and Khali defeated the 3MB. There was not only was Monday Bret Hart's Appreciation Night, which was only exclusive to the WWE app, but it was the birthday of one Natalia Neidhart. You tell me who sang Happy Birthday the worst, Great Khali or the Bella Twins? Now, Bella Twins, they speak English, they probably speak some other language, but at least you don't need subtitles for them compared to the Great Khali. I'm just saying, Great Khali, you need subtitles on that guy. Did anyone other than the guys that speak their language understands what he be saying? I don't know. Let's see quickly. And speaking of Natalia, she was on the losing end, inadvertently an accident, speared by Caitlyn. Bella Twins pick up the win. Orton and Sheamus defeated Roll Scholars. And Cena loses to Curtis Axel by countout. And right back, there you go. That concludes your Raw recap. Second guest is calling in. Let's get her on. My second guest at this time is a part of WOW Wrestling. She is joining me right now. Her name is Tati Vick, the gamer, and she is with me right now. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Hi, Kenny. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, and I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
You sure did.
I feel better. That is great. I'm just so honored to have you on the show. I've been a fan of WOW Wrestling for quite some time. A lot of people told me a lot of great things about you, that you have a bright future in this business, and I look forward to see more things of you going forward. So let's go ahead and begin this interview. Now, last year on WOW Wrestling, you made your debut up against Santana Garrett, who is one half of the Tag Team Champions. How did you feel about your debut match against Santana?
How did I feel about a rematch?
How did you feel about your debut match?
Oh, my debut.
Santana.
Well, first off, when I found out I was wrestling Santana Garrett, I was really excited. I went around like family and friends, and I told them, guess who I'm wrestling, guess who I'm wrestling, and Santana Garrett. So I was pretty excited and that blown away that my first match was going to be between Santana, with Santana. She's a really fun-loving, really, really good worker, and really, 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 really sweet girl. So I had a really great time.
I've been familiar with Santana as well. If just like you, she has a bright future as well. She's had some
Mhm.
sensational matches as well. I mean, Wild Wrestling is to me starting to become the next big thing in women's wrestling, especially on the West
Mhm.
Coast. I mean,
Right.
you think of Shimmer, you think of WSU, you think of Shine. That's mostly on the Midwest and South. But Wild Wrestling is definitely making a name for itself. Um, and speaking of Wild Wrestling, there was some controversy in your next match against Jungle. Um, is there any chance you will have a rematch with her in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I don't see why not. I mean, she's a really strong competitor and similar to myself, and I think that me and her have a really good balance. Like that good and bad. We have a good balance between one another, and we give the good crowd some good action, and we give them something to talk about when they go home to their friends and family, and hopefully look forward to seeing us again in the future. So I definitely wrestle her again.
All I know is Wild Wrestling fans they left after that match saying we want more. Like
Yeah.
everybody wants to win. Like that the whole controversy, that whole situation, how it ended. I mean, it's like any other athlete. There's a winner, there's a loser, and
Mhm.
it's just left with a question mark at the end. Like people want more. People want to see you and Jungle go at it again. So hopefully, Wild
Mhm.
Wrestling will make that happen in the future. Uh, you know, there are ways for wrestlers to prepare, whether it's exercising, maybe listening to music, maybe
Mhm.
yoga, things like that. But how do you prepare for your matches? How do you prepare, to compete in the ring?
Oh man, I guess I just focus on getting out of my head. Sometimes there's a lot of nerves obviously to deal with before you're putting on a show. And personally, the way that I prepare is I make sure that I'm stretched out. That's number one for me. I'm stretched out and warmed up. Music is really important because music calms down my nerves and just kind of gets me out of my head, so I'm not thinking so much. So by the time I'm on the stage, I'm ready to go without hesitating.
So you have done some training with Selena Majors and former WWF Women's Champion Leilani Kai, a living
Hmm.
legend in this business. Um, what's it like to be training with those two? Especially Leilani, a legend in this business.
Yeah, really fun. And everybody I train with, I have such a great time, and when I'm training with each and every person, I get something different, and they're all special. I can really pinpoint and say, I don't learn any much from her or much from him. Like I learn something from everybody, and that's the best part. And every time that I'm when I'm studying with somebody, I go in fresh. I'm like a new student with each and every person. And Selena is obviously she's wonderful, and Selena and Leilani, I think they're complete opposites in their style. Like Selena is a really strong baby face, and Leilani is a really strong heel. And Selena is really fiery and really fast, and they're both very technical and both very big. It's just a matter of, their styles are a little bit different, but both wonderful. I can't say anything bad about them.
I'm going to read a quote from Leilani and what she said about you. This is a quote
Okay.
from Leilani, and I quote, I've never seen anyone in the sport that could do so many things. She is multi talented, extremely hardworking. I'm predicting success for Tartovic like we haven't seen in a long time. She is going to
Oh,
bridge many gaps between sports and entertainment. The wrestling world should get ready for an exciting ride. And quote to to
wow.
that you talk about high praise. I mean, how does that make you feel? To
Well, she doesn't give enough credit to herself. That makes that's really humbling to me, especially coming from somebody like Leilani Kai. That's really a humbling feeling, and I think that all in all, she sees how hard I work, and a part of me reminds her of herself. When she was younger, and that's it means a lot to me coming from someone like Leilani. I respect her a lot, and I truly I love her. I love her. So thank you.
I got a lot of respect for Leilani. I mean, I know I was a young pup, when she was, getting started in wrestling. I mean, I've been keeping up with her work and everything, and for a legend like that, you know, praise like that don't come very often, and
That's
I'm def
true.
and for her to give you, you know, the high praise like that. I mean, that's saying something, and I get how veterans and up and comers or newcomers, they may not
Mhm.
see eye to eye at times, but obviously y'all two
Yeah.
are on the same page, and she has a lot of faith in you going forward, and that's
Yeah.
great. That's great to hear. Um,
Uh, She makes me want to work harder, especially when I hear her say something like that. She makes me want to work 10 times, 10 times more than I'm doing today, tomorrow. So that's really wonderful.
Another person that you've been working with is Steve Stasiak, who has become a very good friend of mine on Facebook. I got a lot of respect for him as well. Um, how did he assist you in your training, and how did y'all two, you know, talk, chat with each other? How did that relationship came about?
Um, well, Steve's been in the wrestling business for a very long time, since he was 15. So he's been around a lot of people and a lot of wrestlers. And when I joined WoW, I think that he took notice automatically and saw that I was different. I come with a lot of background, physical athletics. So when he saw me in the ring and he saw how I work, he took in more interest to see what else I can do. And he started training me, and you know I had a great time, working with Steve. We bonded. He's a good friend of mine. He's my business partner, and he's one of the people that I can say that I fully trust in this business. And there's not many people I can say that about. And you have to have that one person that you can say I trust this person. And Steve is that for me.
In addition to Selena and Leilani, who else do you consider as influences in your career? It could be anyone uh, that's in the pros. It could be anyone from the indie scene, anyone particular. Who do you consider as influences in your career?
I think I'm gonna have to say my mother. Um, my mom is one of my biggest influence in everything that I do, whether it's wrestling or martial arts. It's any step that I take. It's my mom is one of my biggest influences. She's one of my heroes. And she works so hard, and I get my work ethic and my knowledge from my mother. So she definitely plays a very big part, you know, in the rise of my career.
Mama done made you proud. You done made Mama
Oh,
proud. You done made
I
Mama.
hope so.
Yeah. So in addition to Wild Wrestling, do you have any like upcoming wrestling matches that you would like to promote?
I do. I have a lot of things going on right now. A lot of stuff coming up. In terms of WoW, we're not scheduled to have a show until the fall season, and I don't. I think we're supposed to have one here in my hometown in Los Angeles in the summertime, but there's no confirmation on that, so I can't confirm it right now. And I do have a surprise, something very big coming up very soon, but I can't tell you about it. It's a bit of a secret. You're gonna have to follow me on Facebook if you want to find out more later.
In other words, stay tuned, and I
Yes.
stay tuned. And so
Oh yeah.
I hear you. You know, you mentioned martial arts. I hear you also do kickboxing, and you've been training with a legendary sensei, Benny the Jet. And
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of wrestlers throughout the years of being a wrestling fan, and it's not often that I see someone add kickboxing to their arsenal when they're competing in the ring. So, what's the training like when you out there kickboxing?
Very intense, obviously very physical, but most, I think most importantly, it's very mental and emotional at the same time. They say when you're in the ring and when you're in full combat, um, it's 80% mental, 20% physical. But 99.9% of the time, it's always emotional. When you're in the ring and you have a threat, like that's what Yukido-kan is. Sensei Ben's philosophy. Yukido-kan is the way of life, and Yukido-kan doesn't teach you just how to kick and punch. It teaches you how to deal with your own emotions when you're handling a threat. And so, how do you do that? Then obviously comes with the training, and it takes years and years and years to master that. I haven't mastered that for myself, but I'm in it every day. So,
And
but it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
I hear you have a black belt there, correct?
No, we don't have belts. In Yukido-kan karate, there are belts, but in kickboxing there aren't any belts. It's by levels.
Oh, okay, I got you. I got you.
Yes.
I must have got karate and kickboxing mixed up for some reason, but
Oh.
but speaking for people that wants to learn more for you and find out what you have coming up, why don't you go ahead and promote your social media links, Facebook, Twitter, or any other links people need to know?
Of course. People can follow me on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Wow Todovic. And, just for those who can't spell my name, it's Tatebik.
All right, so everybody go like her on Facebook. She'll keep in touch with y'all on what she's got going on, and she also interact with her fans as well. So, just
Yes, I am a human being.
yes, yes, she is a human. I mean, so in the flesh. So go like her on Facebook. There's another thing I want to get into, and I'm trying to pronounce this correctly. You are the first Armenian woman wrestler. Um,
Good job.
wow, I'm on a roll this evening. I'm not
You are.
trying not to get full of myself, but when you hear that, being the first at something, especially on the wrestling industry, which we got your Caucasians and African Americans and Samoans and Spanish and
Hmm.
Latinos, but people of your culture, to be in the wrestling stage. How does that make you feel?
Oh, personally, man, I feel great. It feels a little surreal, to be honest with you. To be the first of anything, it's a big deal, and especially for my culture, and I hope that I hope that they're just as excited as I am. Um, I'm a little worried though about how the older generation is going to perceive the wrestling world because they don't have too much of an insight. So maybe I can shine some light on them. I'm sure I'll share a little bit a story with you. The other day I was at some Armenian restaurant and I was picking up some food to go, and I ran into an old friend of my mother's. The last time she saw me, I was probably like 10 years old, and so she recognized me right away. We got into a little bit of a small talk, and she came out and said, "So what are you doing now? School, work, so forth." And I told her, I hesitated to tell her what I do because I don't like to go around and tell people exactly what I'm involved in. But I did. I came out and I told her I wrestle, and I fight also. And she looked at me like, "Are you serious?" Like it almost like she was a little afraid for me. And and then 2 minutes later, she said that I'm just living in my dreams. Like she took a big sigh. She's like, "Oh, you're dreaming." You know, she just put me down, like straight up cut me right there. And I didn't argue with her. I agreed with her. I said, "Yeah, you're right. Don't worry about it. But maybe one day you'll change your opinion. You'll have a different opinion." And she said, "Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I hope you become very successful and everything, turns out the way you want it to. But I think that's the minority that I'm worried about a little bit, who don't understand and they want to pass judgment too soon and too quickly."
It's definitely unfortunate that we do live in a judging society. I mean, people want to talk about what the people do for a living, and they don't quite understand the craft, the
Mhm.
dedication that wrestlers like yourself do. I mean, it's more than just what you see on TV. It's
Yeah.
putting the moves together. It's communicating, with your opponent. It's a lot
Sending
more.
a message.
Sending a message.
Mhm.
It's just entertaining as well. And to all those people that want to doubt or criticize or whatsoever, I mean, unless they
Mhm.
understand what you do, then
Yeah.
they don't have the right to judge. They don't have the right um to say anything
Well,
whatsoever.
the problem is a lot of people are not happy, and when they see that you're happy or you're successful in some aspect of your life, they don't like that. And I don't know what it is. It's a lot of people. It's society. I don't know what's wrong with society. It's a little scary. That's why I like to keep quiet, especially in my neighborhood and around people, because it's almost like you tell people what you do, and instead of just getting a straight up answer like a positive, response like, "Wow, really? I'm so happy for you," they always turn to a negative. It's just and I came to a point where I was like, well, I'm not even going to tell people what I'm doing. They're just going to have to turn the television on one day and tune in.
I'm sorry that people would do that. I mean, you're a nice person, and
Oh, it's okay. Thank you.
you care about what you do for a living, and I mean, I understand not everybody is going to be into the same things, but I guess what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, as long as they understand what you do and they hope that you do well, then I guess that's all that matters. I mean, because not everybody's gonna be into the same thing. Not everybody's gonna
Right.
be into
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Hmm.
And
That's
on
good.
that note, I want to thank you for being on the show this evening. It was great talking to you. I wish you success. You have my support, and
Oh, thank you.
I hope to see more of you in the future. Maybe you come here to the East Coast sometime, competing and
Mhm.
wrestle. And again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your presence, and good luck to you going forward.
Before I leave, I just wanted to plug something real quick.
Oh, go right ahead.
There is a clothing brand who's also a sponsor and a business partnership that I'm with. And they're called Fighting Alias, and I just want people to check out and like their Facebook page. Um, they're a really great brand with a lot of potential, and you guys can catch them on Fighter Alias on Facebook.
That is awesome, and it's all
Yeah.
for a great cause. Go check them out as well. Shout outs to them, and again, thank you for being on the show this evening.
Well, thank you very much. It was a great pleasure.
You have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye. That was my second guest of the evening, all the way from Wow Wrestling. I was joined by Tati Vic, the gamer, very humbling human being, and I know a lot of great things is in store for her. Just the humbleness, the appreciation that she has for this business, and I believe with the legendary Leilani Kai and Selena Major, she's in good hands. She's truly in good hands. Getting ready for my third interview coming up with any pro wrestler from the West Coast named Big Vicious. Um, Shout out to Sun Guy on that. Just letting y'all know that we'll be back to the 10 to 11 time slot next week. So I appreciate the new listeners out there that we have on this show. We are on Fridays now, 10 to 11. But tonight is the first show on Friday nights. We are live from 10 to midnight Eastern. Big Vicious is from the West Coast. He joins us in about 7 minutes or so. And we also have the AIWF Mid South champion, the Charles West. Oh, and let me quickly get into a recap of main event. Sheamus defeated Wade Barrett, Antonio Cesaro defeated Justin Gabriel, and the Tons of Funk and R-Truth defeated 3MB. There you go. I will recap Impact a little bit later on the show. But I do want to give a huge congratulations to Magnificent Ladies Wrestling, who's been a huge supporter of this show. Some of y'all may have already heard the news that it was on the verge of closing after June 22nd. Well, Magnificent Ladies Wrestling is not going anywhere. It's been announced that a new person is in charge after June 22nd, and she's a former guest on this show. The Queen of Destruction herself, Destiny, will take over as the boss of Magnificent Ladies Wrestling after June 22nd. And Thomas Darnell, who is still in charge of the company at the moment, he's going to join me on June 21st. That's the day before June 22nd tapings. Paris Kelly will be joining me on the 14th. And I know she's excited that Magnificent Ladies Wrestling is still going to be going. So be on the lookout for that. Go to magnificentladieswrestling.com for more info. And there's been 40 downloads been added to the website from the May 18th tapings. So go check them out, purchase them. Very excited to hear that Magnificent is still gonna be. They're still gonna keep the company going. So I'm guessing there'll be a July taping, perhaps. Stay tuned for more info on that. I definitely have to get to this story about WWE joining forces with WB Studios for their version of the Flintstones. I have got to get into that story, and I could have sworn I had the link in front of me, but I guess I'm going to have to go to the WWE website for that. I have got to get into this story. What it all boils down to, ladies and gentlemen, is that Dwayne Johnson, who, by the way, aka The Rock, got the number one movie in the country right now with Fast and Furious 6. He's got to be asking WWE, fellas, can I get a paycheck? Can I get some royalties or something? After all, just over 2 years ago, he the one that called John Cena Fruity Pebbles. Now all of a sudden, Cena's on the face, has become the cover guy of Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles. Not only that, but now he's going to star in the animated movie of the Flintstones alongside with Vince McMahon and CM Punk. And not only that, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a Scooby-Doo, a WWE version of Scooby-Doo. I guess a Scooby-Doo film with WWE voices. Triple H and among others will star in that. And I believe, according to the article I read on WWE.com, that's coming out in 2015. So I guess WWE is like, well, John Cena and CM Punk got all this chemistry inside the wrestling ring. Imagine what the chemistry they can have outside the ring. And I know a lot of people want to make it look like Cena and Punk hate each other, but there's no hate. Let's not compare it to Shawn and Bret. Now those two couldn't stand each other, and we're not talking about, we're not talking about Montreal Screwjob and stuff, and the bitter hatred between the two, man. And it was one of my all-time favorite Raw moments was when Shawn and Bret buried the hatchet, and then it was Bret Hart Appreciation Night. You're big time when you have a day named after you. You're big time, ladies and gentlemen. You're big time. And now you got a night, appreciation night named after you. That's great. To have an appreciation day, a day named after you is one thing. But to have a day named after you in your hometown, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Yeah, Pat Patterson on Bret Hart Appreciation Night called Bret the greatest Canadian wrestler ever. Pat Patterson has had a longer career than Bret Hart. And you want to talk about high praise. I mean, I always thought Bret Hart was kind of like the Wayne Gretzky of professional wrestling, because Gretzky, I believe, a born Canadian, went to become an all-time great. He became the great one of hockey. And, Bret Hart became an all-time great. I mean, his wrestling was just off the charts. And Jerry Lawler was there. Vince McMahon was there. A fellow Canadian, and Chris Jericho was there on Bret Hart Appreciation Night. I'm sure a lot of people would have wished that maybe they could have added Bret Hart Appreciation Night on Monday Night Raw, but WWE is they got the momentum going with the WWE app, so they're gonna milk that for all it's worth. I don't know if it's free or not. What I do know is I don't have the WWE app, and I guess I don't have a phone that is, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't have a phone that's, I guess, compatible for the WWE app. I don't have that. I don't have an iPad, iPod, whatever people use. I know my sister has one of those. Um, Big Vicious, any pro wrestler, will be joining me momentarily. Um, but Bret Hart. I know Shawn Michaels. He came in there on Bret Hart Appreciation Night, and I guess there. I thought I'm just a bit surprised that there wasn't a lot of bulls. Now Vince McMahon was joking around, and then he kind of got hit with the "You screw Bret" chants. I mean, that happened back in the '90s, folks. And yes, it took a time for all three men to bury the hatchet, but it's happened. Shawn and Bret are cool now. They're good friends. And I'm sure they look back and wish things could have been done better or could have been handled a lot quicker. But hey, that's life. We've all have made mistakes. We all done things that we are not proud of. But you can't look back. All you can do is look forward and hope that you don't make the same mistake twice. Shawn and Bret has learned from their mistakes inside the ring and outside the ring, and it's great to see, you know. And I think that's the first time that Bret, Shawn, and Vince were at Calgary at the same ring at the same time since that infamous moment. I could be wrong. Vince and Shawn have been in Calgary together plenty of times since that incident, but I don't recall he, Vince, and Bret have been the same ring at the same time Calgary for the first time. I'm surprised nobody brought that up. Not even Jerry Lawler, who hosted the segment. But it was just showing appreciations to Bret. And it was interesting what Shawn Michaels said. He talked about he was the Lex Luthor to Bret Hart's Superman. And I believe in that. Shawn was mostly the bad guy. Bret was the good guy. He was cocky. He was arrogant. Shawn Michaels, he had his immature moments early in his career. But I guess he saw the light, matured, still had that HBK in him, but he performed the best of his ability. And it's like, whose side were you on? And I think I was more of a Bret Hart side. I respect Shawn for what he did, but I guess I was more of a team Bret. He was, look, he comes from a family of wrestlers, man. Stu Hart, the father, the Hart Dungeon. And one of the Hart Dungeons still exists to this day. I heard that, with Stu no longer with us, God bless his soul. And one of the Hart Dungeon still up and running to this day. I mean, that should be a wrestling landmark. That should be something never to be, redecorated or destroyed whatsoever. So, if they can make that happen, if anyone, any of the Hart family or Calgary or whatever, can make that happen, and it kind of makes me think. It kind of makes me wonder, like, what does the future hold for, it kind of makes me wonder, not what the future holds, but it kind of makes me wonder if Owen Hart, the late Owen Hart, will be inducted into the Hall of Fame someday. Well, I believe he should be a Hall of Famer. I guess people just say, I'd say of all the Hart family, he was probably the more entertaining as far as charisma, personality. He definitely brought the charisma. Something that Bret Hart wasn't known for. Something that Davey Boy Smith, God bless his soul, he wasn't known for personality and charisma. Owen was. Maybe Jim the Anvil Neidhart, he definitely showed some personality a bit. But I tell you what, man, the Hart family, one of the greatest families in all of wrestling. It was just great. And I wonder how Bret felt the night that Natalia had. Yeah, great Khali singing, not so much. And then not only that, ladies and gentlemen, not only that, she lose her match to the Bella Twins, her and Caitlyn, the Divas champion. And then after the match, Bella Twins sings Happy Birthday by putting the L on top of their foreheads. I mean, if there's any West quote unquote diva deserves better, it's Natalia. As far as I'm concerned, I believe she's the top quote unquote diva of that division. But WWE too busy got her being with Great Khali, who needs subtitles. Now, he's a gentle, he appears to be a nice person, but I don't know. I'm just no. Great Khali, come on. I don't speak that high on it. Now he is a former world heavyweight champion, but Great Khali, I'm telling you, I don't know. I just don't. He just doesn't interest me that much. Not that much. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and get to the Impact recap here. Uh, Joseph Park and Sting goes on to defeat 3D. Dixie Carter has announced that at Slammiversary, they're going to unveil the second inductee into the TNA Hall of Fame. Now, before I go further with the Impact recap here, who do I think should be the next inductee to TNA Hall of Fame? One person comes into mind, and that's Jeff Jarrett, the king of the mountain himself. Jeff Jarrett, no doubt about it. I mean, Jeff Jarrett, not only did he found the company, but he made a name for himself in the ring as well. Jeff Jarrett's had a lot of big moments in the early years of TNA, and I tell you, Jeff Jarrett, people didn't believe that TNA would make it as far as they have, and here they are entering year number 11. I guess my only knock on TNA is the development of characters, of new talent. You got gut check, you got high hopes there, but you got all these wrestlers, and yet, when it's time for the new guys to step up, are they gonna have any room to get their storylines and their angles here and there? I mean, and how long will the Angles and the Stings and the Bully Rays, I mean, how long are those guys going to keep wrestling? Till they're 50, 60? I mean, who knows? At some point, you gotta give me Jay Bradley. You gotta get Sam Shaw out there. You gotta get Joey Ryan. You gotta see what these guys can do. Christian York, or Christian York second go around. But I'm just saying, OVW, they got some talented people out there, and I believe a lot of them, like a Johnny Spade, like a Jamie Lolavencia, who is the OVW champion. I believe those type of dudes deserves an opportunity to showcase their skills on Impact Wrestling. I truly believe that with all my heart. I will say this. Jeff Jarrett, but back to Jeff Jarrett, I believe he should be the next person up to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, Sting, I understand, he could have easily gone to WWE after WCW, but chose not to. Clearly, he and Vince just don't see eye to eye. I guess he's the only WCW wrestler I can recall that never went to WWE and had a pretty good career. So understandably so. He's a TNA Hall of Famer. And yet he's still wrestling to this day. So if they're gonna induct the next person, I believe it should be Jeff Jarrett, King of the Mountain himself. He done a lot for that company, inside the ring and outside, way before Hulk Hogan decided to show up. So I say, give it to Jeff Jarrett, Double J, King of the Mountain. Give him that honor. Let's see. Samoa Joe went on to take on Garrett Bischoff. That match got out of control. And it was announced that Briscoe, Bischoff, and Anderson will go up against Magnus, Joe, and the returning Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, just like Joe, just like Magnus, have fallen victim to the Aces and Eights. And I believe Jeff Hardy lost the championship to one Bully Ray, who's the president of the Aces and Eights. So you got a lot of payback in mind. Payback, revenge, whatever you want to call it. Hardy, Joe, and Magnus, that's what they want. And we'll see if they can get the job done this Sunday at Boston, Beantown. It's a great wrestling town. You know wrestling fans are going to be into it. And it was announced that their biggest pay-per-view of the year, Bound for Glory, October, it's going to be in San Diego. They're going to be headed to the West Coast. That happens to be home of former co-host of the show, Jeff. But from my understanding, he's not an Impact Wrestling fan. So, I don't think he'll be anywhere near that show, Bound for Glory. But, hey, he's an old school guy. And maybe he'll get a chance to see Hogan. Maybe he'll get a chance to see some other old school guys. You never know. That's kind of like their WrestleMania of... It's kind of like WrestleMania of the fall. That's their Super Bowl. I know people hate these cliches and stuff, but that's their granddaddy of them all. Let's just say that. And I'll tell you what. Then we have Kazarian, Daniels, Rude, and Aries took on Chavo, Hernandez, James Storm, and his tag team partner, Gunner. So you got a guy, and James Storm likes to drink a lot of beer. And then you have Gunner, no nonsense dude, handling his business. I got a lot of respect for Gunner. But I find it interesting that Storm selected him. Now Gunner has Gunner, he's been mostly a bad guy. And from my understanding, the last time Gunner, he was with Kid Cash. And I guess them as a tag team didn't quite work out. I'm sure they're good friends, but fans just didn't like, wow, Gunner and Kid Cash teaming up? I don't know about that. And then you had Mickie James, which we all knew the heel turn is coming. Now, a week prior, last week episode, Mickie James defeated a one-legged Velvet Sky. Let's just look at it from that perspective. Velvet Sky's been battling the leg injuries for over a month, but she kept fighting like a champion. And, kudos to Mickie James. She did what she had to do. She's hurt. Seize the moment. And that's why she's a 3-time Knockouts champion. And it's hard to believe it's been 2 years since she's been Knockouts champion. It's been 2 years. Almost 2 years, folks. My next guest I believe it's Big Vicious. Let's get him on. Hello, you are live on the air on Triple Threat Western Radio. I believe I'm joined with Big Vicious.
That's right.
How's it going, man?
Living life, living life.
Well, thank you for joining me here on Triple Threat Western Radio this evening, sir.
Yeah, so I'm late calling in.
Hey, it's okay, man. It's not a problem, man. We're good. Um, let's go ahead and begin. What made you decide to be a professional wrestler?
As I was growing up, always enjoyed watching it, and then I realized, I could take a beating. So I got involved in the training aspect, and I found out I definitely could take a beating.
Who were your favorite wrestlers growing up?
Growing up, I had Andre the Giant, of course, probably the biggest big man there was. Got into people like Big Daddy Cool, and then I don't know why, but Shawn Michaels.
Well, I guess for the charisma, personality, and his abilities in the ring, but I guess it was mostly the charisma.
I think it was the fact that that man took a beating more times than I knew, and he looked good taking it.
Oh yes, he did. I mean, the man did took a lot of beatings, especially early in his career, and I guess that's why the back injuries just cost him probably 4 years of his career. I mean, and then he came back, and then he just got even better. And you talk about the beatings and everything. I mean, it comes with the territory. It's definitely physical. It's not for everybody. Have you ever endured any injuries, any severe injuries in your career?
About 3 years back, I ended up getting dropped wrong on my head and ended up spending 4 days up in the Salem hospital with a stinger. It was pretty scary.
And when you had that stinger, did you have any concern whether you was gonna wrestle again? Was that ever in your mind?
Oh, it's still in my mind. It's little things happen. I take a bump wrong and neck starts to hurt and it starts freaking me out. Like, hey, I just spent 4 days up in the Salem hospital, and what's going to happen now? Back in the Salem hospital, I ended up having no movement in my legs, and that was a very scary moment. When I finally came through and realized what was going on, they had me up in a bed with little pumps on my legs circulating the blood, and yeah, it wasn't fun.
That's definitely had to hurt, but it's good to see that you're still up and running. You still have a career to this day, and I mean every wrestler is gonna have that injury every now and then, but it's just a matter how you overcome from all that. So it's good to see that you're still competing to this day.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely say there was a moment where I almost gave it up because of the fact that, hey, if this happens again, what's it going to be like next time? But then again, the way I look at it is, hey, we'll cross that road when it comes.
Absolutely, man. So, do you remember your first wrestling match that you ever had? And if so, who was your opponent and what company did you work for at the time?
My first wrestling match. Oh, it's kind of a odd, funny story. It was a little promoter named Bob Spiker. He was running a little thing called Dr. Payne's Wrestling Clinic. It was the first time I was trying to get into wrestling. Didn't know much about it. Went to him, and it was more of kind of like cage fighting. He had a fence set up, and it was just a bunch of odd individuals going in and putting on a show. my first match with him was more of a battle royal. Um, it was kind of a cluster, but it's what made me realize I really, really wanted to get into this and continue forward and just continue training and getting as much knowledge and ability as I could.
How did you feel leading up to that match? You know, with all the training that you had to endure to get to that point, did you have any signs of the butterflies? Were you nervous? You know, how did you feel leading up to that match?
Oh, I was nervous then, and every time I have a match now, I'm still nervous. Um, the thing is, I figure as long as I'm nervous, I'm prepared. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to keep focus and just do what I got to do to put on the greatest match that I can. But I would have to definitely say then there was more nerves involved because it was kind of the first time doing something in front of a crowd.
So, Big Vicious, do you have any upcoming matches you would like to promote?
I wrestle for a promotion called Blue Collar Wrestling every Sunday at the North Eagles Lodge. It's every Sunday, 6 p.m. And other than that, it's just the Sunday shows. Some upcoming dates to be announced. I haven't got the full details on them yet, but yeah, as of right now, it's just every Sunday.
What do you like the most of being a wrestler? Is it the traveling? Is it the fan interaction? Is it being in the ring competing? What do you like the most of being a professional wrestler?
I love the entertainment aspect. I love going out there and making the fans hate me, love me, cheer for me, boo me. If I can get under their skin or get them just all excited, it's what I enjoy. It doesn't hurt that I get to go in there and physically manhandle some people, but it's the fans that I enjoy the most.
So what do you consider the highlight of your wrestling career? It could be a match that you had, maybe a championship you've won, a storyline or angle that you was a part of. What do you consider the biggest highlight of your wrestling career?
Well, I'll say the highlight of my career, what I really enjoyed was a couple years back at the Portland Expo Center. The Insane Clown Posse were doing a concert, and before the concert, they did the Juggalo Championship Wrestling. And I ended up facing Madman Pondo shortly after he lost the JCW heavyweight title. That was a very fun learning experience, I must say.
So, for people that wants to get in touch with you, social media wise, like Facebook, Twitter, or anything else particular, what are some links that people can learn more from you for your upcoming shows and stuff?
They can find me they can go to Facebook and go to I and Bob, and I'm also, it's under the name Michael O'Shea on the Facebook account. Twitter, haven't really got that going yet. Me and electronic devices don't get along very well, but I do have a group that I just signed with who is getting ready to take over a lot of the media aspects. They are called Turnbuckle Tailgaters, and they're about to set up my Twitter account and get that running for me.
That is awesome, man. That is absolutely awesome. Who are some wrestlers out there, whether it's pro or indie, that you haven't had a chance to work with, or would like to be in the ring with someday?
There's a lot of indie wrestlers here in Portland and elsewhere that I'd like to get in the ring with. Ethan HD's one of them. I would like to face. If I was able to face one professional wrestler, I would definitely like to get in the ring with the Big Show. Um, he's a little bit bigger than I am, but I think Tynans will clash, and we see who turned out to be the better man.
That would definitely be interesting. And, Big Show, I would say he's probably, to this day, he's probably the best big man that's currently out there on the pros right now. I mean, he's late in, he's pretty much late in his career, and yet he's still out there competing. I mean, this guy's been around since I guess the mid 1990s. I guess. I mean, that's a long time. I mean, he's had his
long time, and he's come a long ways.
Yes, he has. Well, Big Vicious, I want to thank you for joining me this evening on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Best of success goes out to you, and again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, and anytime, sir.
All right, you have a good night.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. That was Big Vicious joining me here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Usually we are live from 10 to 11, but since this is our Friday night debut, we are live from 10 till midnight here on the East Coast. That would be, let's see, that will be 7 to 9 Pacific, so it's almost 8:30 here on the West Coast, 11:30 here on the East Coast. So getting ready for my last interview with the AIWF Mid-South Champion, the Charles West. He's joining me in a few minutes. So let me conclude the Impact recap. So Mickie James has now, pretty much the heel turn is coming. She brings out Velvet Sky, gives her kudos, you're a fighting champion, stuff like that. And Velvet Sky was, she lost the championship, and she's hell bent wanting to win the title back. She said, you know what? Let me have my rematch this Sunday at Slammiversary. Then comes Gail Kim going after Mickie like, the only reason you won the championship because I softened her up. And then comes, Gail Kim goes on to attack Velvet Sky, and Mickie James just sat there and just watched Mickie getting attacked. Then Taryn Terrell comes to the rescue, and those two got some unfinished business this Sunday at Slammiversary. But it's only a matter of time. The heel turn is coming. But what type of heel are we going to get for Mickie? Because remember, Mickie, when she debuted in the WWE, she was a crazy fan of Trish Stratus. This is going to be a whole entirely different. She's going to brag about being a champion. She's going to brag about releasing the country album somebody's going to pay. And I'm sure Mickie will come up with something. I got a lot of faith in Mickie being a heel. She's done it before. She can do it again. But yeah, she's had quite a busy 2013. I will say that much. Oh, and by the way, Taryn Terrell and Chris Sabin goes on to defeat Gail Kim and Kenny King. After the match, Sabin on the mic saying he's going to win back the X Division title. Gets attacked from behind by Kenny King. Then comes Suicide. And then he has the championship. Looked directly at Sabin, knowing what's at stake this Sunday at Slammiversary. The main event, Styles versus Angle. Remember, Styles decided not to join the Aces and Eights. He's a beat to his own drum, and he wants to do his own thing. Well, Aces and Eights was going to make sure he paid for not joining the Aces and Eights. And then pretty much everyone that had a match scheduled for Slammiversary, Impact versus Aces and Eights. And of course, there was a 3D by 3D on Sting before Impact went off the air. The only thing I have left to discuss is the SmackDown from tonight, which I believe is now in progress if you're living on the West Coast. So, interesting turn of events. But I'm going to leave the recap until after I finish interviewing Charles West. He's going to be calling in momentarily. And again, since I have the floor to do whatever, it is my show after all. If you got social media, please follow the show on Twitter at TTW Radio. That's TTW Radio. Like the show on Facebook, facebook.com/Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. All one big word put together. That's. Oh, and by the way, subscribe to the YouTube channel for the latest interviews from the show. YouTube.com/TTW Radio. That's the only main links that I use for this show. And there will be a Triple Threat Wrestling Radio section for chillinbroadcasting.com. So I'm trying to relaunch the website. So stay tuned for that. And I'm looking forward to relaunching this website. You know, it's been a long time. I renewed the domain name about a couple of months ago, but I've never had a chance to rebuild the website. So I'm working on that. Bear with me, people. I'm very happy about the month of June, especially the weekend of June 14th, 15th, and 16th. June the 14th, I'm doing a show interviewing Paris Kelly and Hudson Envy. So I'm doing 2 interviews on that night. Then on Saturday, on the 15th, I go to my first ever Impact Wrestling show. It's going to be at Lexington, Kentucky. I will be there. Ringside and meet and greet. All I hope is that I don't have to work from 12:15 to 6:45 on that particular day. Because I do know that the meet and greet is at 5:30, and I'm guessing the show starts at 6:30 or 7-ish. And I don't know how long the meet and greet is, but I'm assuming it's probably 30 minutes. Which is kind of like, you gotta be kidding me. Gonna have the meet and greet for 30 minutes? You really think that's enough time to get a chance to interact with the wrestlers? Now, I get it. When you go to these meet and greets, not everybody is going to talk to everybody. Not everybody's going to talk to every single wrestler. I was a bit distracted because I am logged into my Facebook, and you do hear that beep sound. Seriously, I wish there was a way I can turn that beep off, but I'm like, whatever. So yeah, this whole meet and greet thing, like, I get it. Not every fan is gonna want to meet and take pictures with every single wrestler, but if you can give the fans that's paid their hard-earned money, especially for Ringside, if you can give just 1 hour, 1 hour. Everybody wants to talk about Impact Wrestling. Yeah, they interact with the fans. You know, WWE doesn't have that. They don't have meet and greets prior to shows, unless it's they have the access for WrestleMania. They have, I guess, the access for Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and Survivor Series. But you're not gonna get meet and greets every single show the way the Impact does. And I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. Like, 1 hour will be good. And it's not like the Ringside, there's a lot of Ringside tickets for those shows compared to WWE. Because you see TNA, they do their shows in small places. They're not doing big arenas and stadiums. They haven't gotten to that point just yet. Oh no. So, I'm just saying, 1 hour would definitely be cooler than 30 minutes. But it's their company, it's their Colts, it's their choice. Sending complaints to Dixie Carter. Send your complaints to Dixie Carter if you want the meet and greets prior to the show for 30 to an hour. Like, if you really want to show that you care about the fans, make the meet and greets an hour instead of 30 minutes. Now, maybe myself, I don't want to, I hope there's so many people I'm looking forward to meeting. Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, James Storm, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, for the fellas. Now for the ladies, Velvet Sky's at the top of the list. I like Velvet Sky. I like maybe Tess Mocker. It would be cool to meet Tara again. People may not know this, but I've met her when she was Victoria in her WWE days. Actually met her twice. And once upon a time, she had a custom car shop in Louisville. And I was there for the opening of her custom car shop. Now, from my understanding, she owns a bar in Chicago, Illinois. So at least she's, continuing the business side outside of the ring. And she's been promoting that stuff. I wonder how. See, here's the thing. And I follow her on Twitter. I wonder how TNA feels about her promoting her bar. Say, hey, you want to watch main event at a bar? Go to my bar place. I wonder how she feels about, if you want to watch main, like watch Raw with us at the bar. Watch main event. Watch the WWE pay-per-views. WWE is your competition. Now, it's one thing, like, hey, go if you want to watch football or baseball or NBA or whatever, go to the bar. It's one thing to promote that. Like, I don't think Dixie will have a problem with that. But, with the whole WWE, I don't know. It's her bar. She can do whatever. But you do work for Impact, not WWE. And I don't know. That's kind of a slippery slope, if you ask me. Like, I admire her as a businesswoman, but, I'm just saying, be careful when you mention WWE tweets when you want to promote, people go to your bar. I'm just saying. I'm surprised that no one for TNA has said maybe you need to slow down on that. Just say promote Impact on your bar. Now, she's done it for Shimmer too. Like, go watch Shimmer. No problem with that whatsoever. Like, it's Shimmer. And she's in the same state they are. So one thing I forgot to mention on the Raw recap, and I realized that just now. Chris Jericho with the highlight reel. Interview Paul Heyman. He didn't want to talk about Curtis Axel. Didn't want to talk about Brock Lesnar. I can't say it the way Paul does. I'm not going to say it like that. But basically, Jericho wanted to know what's going on with CM Punk. That's what he wants to know. It has been almost 2 months now. Almost 2 months since Punk lost to The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And what Jericho was saying is, you can't call yourself best in the world sitting from the couch. Now, let's be fair to CM Punk. He's been dealing with injuries. He probably dealt with injuries leading up to WrestleMania. And I brought this up a few weeks ago. He went off that top rope, elbow drop on Undertaker. That was a nasty fall on Punk. Took a nasty fall. So you know, you want to talk about the walk hurt versus Cena. Imagine being hurt in a match at WrestleMania versus The Undertaker. And you know Undertaker ain't going to let up. He going to go all in. He going to get real physical with you. And that's what he did. There were the moments when Undertaker went tough on Punk. And Punk is not a big guy. You know, he can take a beating, but, you know, it's just something about, you know, people punks. Like, as talented as you are, you going up against a dead man. He don't care if you're his size or you're not his size. He, especially when it's WrestleMania, he ain't gonna let up just because she held on to the title for 400 plus days. Oh no. He's went up against the list of who's who. Hall of Famers and future Hall of Famers. Punk definitely is going to be a Hall of Famer one day in WWE. I truly believe that, sincerely. But Undertaker did not let up. So, back to Punk. We all knew that he was going to make his return to Payback. It was just a matter who his opponent going to be. And it's interesting. Jericho goes for Fandango. After beating him at Extreme Rules, he's like, okay, I'm done with you. Now you want to go up against CM Punk, who beat you at WrestleMania last year, who beat you at Extreme Rules in his hometown of Chicago. So keep this in mind. This is the second pay-per-view, you know, in a year now. In a year. In a year that Punk and Jericho are facing each other one-on-one at a pay-per-view at Punk's hometown of Chicago. CM Punk, it's going to be interesting. And you know, they're going to treat him like a god. I find it interesting. Punk, as people anticipate his return, he's out here acting like a crazy hockey fan, rooting for his Chicago Blackhawks. You seen the tweets for Punk? I'm like, okay. You know, he's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Go Blackhawks, go. You think NHL rooting for the Chicago crowd cheering? Them cheering for the Chicago Blackhawks will pale in comparison for what's going to happen at Payback. The reaction he's going to get. Let's get Charles West on the phone here. All right, my last guest at this time is the current AIWF Mid-South Heavyweight Champion. I'm joined with the Charles West, and he's joining me right now. Good evening, Charles, and welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on it. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being on, champ. And let's go ahead and begin. I mean, like I said in the beginning, you are the AIWF Mid-South Heavyweight Champion. How does that feel to be the champion?
That feels amazing, considering when I first started, everyone told me that I would never make it and never accomplish anything. And to have a championship as prestigious as the AIWF Mid-South is, it's just a complete honor.
And, when you won that championship on that night, and, the crowd was going crazy, and you held on to that title, I mean, winning a championship is definitely satisfying considering the hard work and the dedication. And like you said, I mean, it's also a great thing when you prove people wrong. When people say you'll never do this, you'll never do that. It's definitely a great feeling. Not only that you win the championship, but you prove people wrong. I mean, that's talk about killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah, pretty much to that to prove people wrong was a huge accomplishment, and to be able to win the championship with the caliber of athletes that I was in the ring with, Barry Wolf, Jared Wayne, who's a huge star in Texas, and another up and comer by Radical Will Sharp was just huge. And to do it in front of friends and family was a pretty big accomplishment and a great feeling as well.
Now I hear you got a big title defense coming up. I believe you're going up against Justin Overstreet.
No, I'm not facing Justin Overstreet. I'm actually July 13th. I go one-on-one with the AIWF World Champion Kyle Matthews
Oh,
for the
Matthews,
AIWF World
Matthews.
title.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I must, Kyle Matthews. Okay. How do you feel about that match coming up with Kyle Matthews?
Well, to be honest, I respect Kyle. I respect what he can do. I respect what he's done. Um, I feel hungry. Like, I'm AIWF Mid South champion. I've been heavyweight champion before, but I'm still hungry, and I've got something to prove. And I'm looking forward to just having a classic with him and even showing a much bigger audience what I can do.
So, before we go fast forward, let's go back for a bit. How did your wrestling career got started?
I had a best friend who wrestled at the time when I was 15 named Shane Coates. And I met him one day at his house, and he showed me some videos of him wrestling on YouTube. So I said I wanted to go with him. And the day that he went, I rode out with him, and I met a guy named Matt Havard, who wrestles as Matt Harvard, and who was trained by Cyrus LeVay and Vickery McLeod. And he took me under his wing, and from then, the rest is history, and I've been doing it ever since then, and just continuous getting better at it.
How would you best describe your wrestling style? Is it technically sound? Is it you being a brawler? What will be the best way to describe your wrestling style?
I can't really put a finger on it because I do love the technically sound. I can get in there and wrestle with you. If you want to brawl, I can brawl with you. If you want to fly around the ring, I'll fly around the ring with you. Anything that my opponent brings to the table, I'm either going to try to outdo you in because I know how. I'm just going to flat out wrestle you.
In addition to the title defense match with Matthews, what are some other shows you'd like to promote? I know you, from my understanding, you work for TWE up there in Mississippi. What are some other shows you'd like to promote that you have coming up?
When they run, I'm not working there this weekend, but I do work for OWO, and they're having a double show this weekend at the Tupelo Fest. I've worked for them a lot. I've worked for EPW down in McKill, Mississippi. I'm looking forward to making my debut this August for the Coastal Wrestling Alliance. I'll be debuting there, and I do a lot of work for Pro Wrestling Ego when they run.
Who do you consider your favorite rivals? Like the guys that you are so eager to be in the ring with every single time. Who do you consider like your favorite opponents that you like working with in the ring?
My favorite opponent has got to be Barry Wolf. I faced him countless times. We feuded over the Wrestling All-Star Revolution Heavyweight Championship. I actually ended he had a year-long reign that I ended. But every time we get in the ring, no matter how many times I face him, I could pretty much know what he's going to do, and I can't stop him. And it's a battle every time, and that's the only opponent who makes myself unsure of the outcome. So Barry Wolf would probably be my favorite and my toughest opponent.
So at this stage of your wrestling career, what are some other goals you'd like to accomplish? Would you like to travel more, have more shows, maybe wrestle outside of the U.S. or anything particular? What are some other goals you'd like to accomplish?
Uh, at 23 years old, I've pretty much accomplished everything I've set my mind to. I'm a former NWA Mississippi heavyweight champion. I would like to travel a lot more. I would like to work out of the. I would like to work in Mexico and Japan. I really like to do that, and I'd like to. I'd like to win the AIWF World Title is my next goal. That's at the top of the list right now is to win that title, no matter where it is, or no matter if it's July 13th against Kyle Matthews, no matter if it's a year from now. I would like to be AIWF World Champion because the AIWF is where it's at, and I think I could carry the ball for them.
Everybody check out the Charles West. He's got a lot of shows coming up. Support local indie pro wrestling. Definitely a must. Something that that I preach a lot on this show. I mean, I understand people like to watch the shows on TV, but people just may not realize that there could be an indie wrestling show in their neighborhood, and they may not be aware of it. And who knows? They could be looking at the next superstars right for where they live, and they work hard and bust their butts for a living like yourself. So everybody, please support local pro indie wrestling in your neighborhood, your city, whatever the case, wherever you're from. Just go there and support. Um, and how do you feel, as a wrestler and a fan from the support of indie wrestling? How do you feel about it?
I definitely think people should get out there more and support indie wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan, get out there and support your local shows. I mean, the late great Paul Bearer said, "Indie wrestling is the root of all wrestling, and if the roots die, then the entire thing dies." So, I love this business more than anything in the world. At times, this business has been all I've had, and just get out there and support it. It's indie wrestling is you're looking at some of the next great stars, whether it be me, Barry Wolf, Nathan Lawler, all of us, Jeremy Awesome. Get out there and support us.
I definitely agree with the late Paul Bearer. May he rest in peace. I mean, one of the all-time great managers and great minds of the business. Um, for another question, from a fan standpoint, I mean, how do you feel about the state of wrestling as it is right now? I mean, you got some characters on TV making a name for themselves, and yet there are the politics that come into play. And then there's the quote unquote marks and stuff like that. How do you feel about the state of wrestling right now?
Honestly, the state of wrestling it needs a shock value. Um, I think it's boring, and in my opinion, I don't watch wrestling on TV because for me to sit here and complain about it and then go back and watch it, that would make me part of the problem. The people, the marks, as you say, or the internet wrestling community, they complain about what the product on TV puts out, yet they continue to buy the pay-per-views and the merchandise and watch it every week whenever it comes on. If you don't like it, don't watch it. But as an indie wrestler, I'm always looking to stand out. I'm always looking to do something different. I don't want to be like the guys on TV. I want to be me. I want to be Charles West. So as far as the state of wrestling goes, it's in need of a shock value.
I, I definitely agree. It definitely needs a shock value, and I think it just needs to stop with the whole soap opera as well. I mean, get back to the basics. I mean, there's some aspects of the soap opera could be not a big deal, but it's come to the point where it's just too much of it and not enough wrestling. I mean, do you think that the whole soap opera stuff may be a huge reason that people are not into wrestling that it once were back in the days.
Um, my personal opinion is there's never going to be an attitude era again.
No.
Never ever going to be an era like that again. That was one of the greatest errors of anybody's time, and it all happened by accident. If people would stop complaining and stop wanting an attitude error and focus on making the error that is right now, whether it be PG-13 or G7 or Y7, whatever it is, if they would just focus on making the product better now and moving forward, and that goes for WWE, that goes for TNA, that goes for ROH, that goes for indie wrestling all over the world. Focus on the product now and move forward with the times. Wrestling could very well become hot again and be fun again.
Absolutely, man. I definitely agree with you on that. Why don't you go ahead and promote your social media links? I know you got Facebook, and if you have any other social media links, go ahead and promote that. So, how can people, get in touch with you on your upcoming shows?
You can find me, as Kenny said, on Facebook at Charles West. You can find me on Twitter at DCWest13. You can send me emails at dcwest13@yahoo.com. I appreciate all emails. I respond to all emails. I respond to all messages and all tweets. If you have anything to ask me or you want to book me for shows or anything at all, just message me or whatever, and I'll respond to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the AIWF Mid-South Heavyweight Champion, the Charles West, is joining me here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. And Charles, thank you for being on the show, for your insight, for your perspective, and good luck in your matches, especially one against Kyle. That's going to be a great one. I definitely believe it. Again, just thank you for being on the show, man.
Thank you. I look forward to being on it again, and I appreciate you having me. And once again, y'all support indie wrestling. It's where it's at.
Absolutely, man. We'll definitely have you back on the show in the future. Absolutely. You have a good night, man.
You too. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was the AIWF Mid-South Champion, the Charles West, and I want to apologize. I thought it was Justin Overstreet, but it was Kyle Matthews. Got those two mixed up for some reason. I can always own up when I messed up. Huge blunder on my part. I apologize on that. And it is almost midnight, so let me just get to the nitty gritty here.